Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm the Stretch Professor, and today we're going to be looking at the 11.15 patch notes for League of Legends. So as always, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. It's free, it's easy, just takes a couple of clicks. Really helps out a lot on the channel. Check out the rest of the content as well. We're going to have some fresh tier lists on this patch, definitely the support and ADC, and I'll see if I can get some other roles in there as well. We have lots of topical guides like best one trick, how to macro better, how to micro better, and dozens of other guides, so check those out. We also are covering Total War Warhammer, so if you want to watch some legendary, no BS, pure playthrough campaigns with what I hope are good explanations to help you sort of appreciate and play the game better, you can check that out. And then we're also dipping our toe into some MMOs as well. We've been doing some Burning Crusade content as a Restoration Druid healer in raids, and then we're also going to be doing some Final Fantasy XIV content as well, so stay tuned for all that. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. And we stream every night around 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually go till about 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on YouTube. So feel free to stop by, come chill with us. It's very friendly, fun community. And if you can't watch the whole thing, but you want to watch more, always have the replay uploaded the next day on YouTube as well. Okay, so Akshan, I'm just going to have to see this guy in action more. He has so many different abilities. My thought is that he's probably going to be really strong, but some people have said his attack speed is really slow and his numbers might be kind of low, so I'll probably just end up doing a separate video on him. But my thoughts are, on release, probably on the weak side, I'd say 45% or less. But then after a couple of weeks, once people optimize the builds and they get used to playing him, then I think he's going to be really good, especially in competitive. But we'll see. Okay. Annie, damage ratio going down a little bit. It's fine. Hardly ever see this champion. It's going to knock her burst down, so maybe it matters. Says she's taking over skilled play. I never see her. So I think they're defining skilled play. I believe that's like platinum through like diamond 2 or something. And then elite play is what, like diamond 2 to through challenger. So yeah, I'd never see her in platinum low diamond. So not going to impact the meta at all. Speaking of not impacting the meta, Aurelian Soul, there's like 1 or 2 one-tricks in Challenger, I guess, that give this champion a high win rate, so they decided to nerf him. It's a joke. I mean, he has. When I looked at this, when I saw this previewed, he had like a 53% win rate or something, so I don't know. It just doesn't matter. No one plays him. He has like less than a 2% play rate. And then we got Blitzcranks. This is the one that might start mattering. So you get 3 extra armor, which is nice for all ends. Typically, when you get, like, he wants to... Obviously, when you're hooking people, they're already in a very disadvantageous position. So usually you just pick someone off and kill them. So the armor is not like... It's not like you're going to be someone who's going to be in the middle of a fight most of the time, just getting hit by a lot of stuff, right? It's not like Alistar or Leona or even Nautilus who has to go in and get hit a lot. So the armor doesn't matter as much on him as it would on those other champions, but of course it's good. Like, more armor is obviously good, especially in the early game where you might be getting hit by a bunch of minions on some of your initial pulls when you auto-attack them and get the aggro from the minions and that kind of thing, so... It's good. Now, this one is more significant. 20 extra damage early on is pretty big. I mean, 20 later is big too, but especially early, those hooks can be pretty huge. And the extra 20% AP ratio is interesting because his R also has a 100% AP ratio. So, like, AP is not terrible on him. I still think it's probably pretty troll to buy AP on him, but maybe there could be some AP builds. But typically, people just build him sort of utility tank type of stuff, right? With just your standard like Locket Zeeks or Locket Knight's Vow or whatever. So it's good. I mean, there are a lot of squishy champs out there that are really good targets for him. Low key, his ultimate's actually quite strong against things like Sterix, which are running rampant right now. Like, everybody's got Sterix or the Bloodline Shield. So that could make him pretty good into certain matchups where you're able to blow up that shield, especially if they have like a Lulu or something at maybe, you know, low diamond and lower play where Lulu might stack her shield or Janna might stack her shield on top of a champion who's going to get a Sterix proc. You get a lot of value out of that ultimate. But overall, I still think he's going to be very niche. There's just so much mobility in the game. A lot of people can outplay his hook. And some of these super tank champions, it's just hard to get through them. Like, yeah, he'll do some damage to him, but he just doesn't do anything else, pretty much. It's like you have a hook, and I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't do enough. But if you can land these hooks a lot against, you know, Lulu's, Janna's, champions with Yumi attached to them, stuff like that, you can get a lot of value out of it. So I think he's still okay. If you're really good on him, then he can be great. But otherwise, there are probably more well-rounded, versatile options. Okay, Caitlyn is getting a little bit more percentage AD damage on her Q. That's okay. She's been finding success with Q max builds. That's what you always max on her. I guess there may have been some metas where you max trap, but from what I can remember, it's like a ton of the time it's been Q max. So I don't think that's new. I just feel like she can be good, but she's extremely difficult to play correctly because you really have to maximize those combos. You know, like someone steps on a trap, you have to get a headshot and then a Q, net backwards, another auto attack to land another headshot. So there's a lot of like animation cancels and different types of combos you can do with her, especially with Gale Force. And most people just do not leverage that well enough. They just auto attack with her some in the laning phase. They lay down a trap sometimes, right? But they just don't chain stuff together. They don't use her positional advantage with the traps. And they don't use the traps to protect her against all in as well as they could. So I think her potential is really high. You know, maybe tier 2. Maybe even tier 1 on like super good Caitlyn's. But I think like your average player, she's still going to be like C or D tier. It's just most players would be better off just playing something like Jinx. If you just want to auto attack, you have something that's long range, and you want to scale really well, just play Jinx instead. They're very similar in that respect. Caitlyn really, really has to pressure early. She's a tempo champion. She has to take those towers, and she's going to fall behind other champs because her attack speed is so slow, and she doesn't have any like, she has very limited options to multi-hit abilities to win team fights. Now the Q does help with that, but I still think she's just going to get just mowed over by something like a Jinx or a Twitch, you know, late game. Okay, even something like Samira. Okay, Cassiopeia. So she's getting a little bit of extra damage on her E. She does cast her E a lot, which is nice. I just feel like she still takes a long time to come online, and she's immobile, so she's just kind of a sitting duck against a lot of engaged champions out there. Hi, Rory. What's going on?
I didn't want you to leave.
Well, I'm sorry. Daddy's doing a video tonight right now. You want to play on Daddy's Poe for a bit? Okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I had to leave. Daddy had to get something to eat. But you're in here now, so that's okay. Sorry, get her set up here. She's in a mood this evening. Here you go. Okay. Alright. That's okay. So she is good at high sustained damage and potentially killing, you know, some of these really tanky champions out there. They're not like actual tanks, they're just really hard to kill. The stuff that gets like Divine Sunder plus Sterix, you know, that type of garbage, and it has Conquer and Triumph and all this other stuff. But anyways, it's okay. It's a nice gesture. I have seen her go off. She can do well in some matchups. She is fun to play, but I don't know if we're going to see her all over the place these days. Although maybe they are nerfing some of her competition. But good. I think she's an interesting champ. Gwen, so skip and slash. So they're knocking down her attack speed early on, I think, which is really good. So she is like too strong right now. So I think that's probably a good nerf. At later levels, it's not going to matter. But I'm not sure if you max her Q or her E. I think it's E second. From what I remember, so that means that you're going to be sitting on 20% less attack speed for quite a bit of the game because you don't fully max your second skill until level 13. So this means that she's, you know, really going to be feeling it in the first 6 levels, but it's still going to put her behind even in the next 6 levels, which a lot of games are probably over when before she's 16 or whatever. So probably 70 or 80% of the game you're going to be losing some value. So I think that's good. She still has true damage in her kit. She's still super mobile. She scales really well with items. So I think that's fine. She's still going to be very strong. And then we've got Irelia. So 40% of her AD. So a little bit less damage on the W. Good. It's a defensive ability. Why does it hit like a nuke? Like, it already blocks like 1 billion damage. It should at least be something on the lines of a certain percentage of the damage you take by blocking it, then it's returned up to a maximum amount of that, right? So if she does that and she doesn't really block anything, it shouldn't do that much damage. I don't know. It just feels like it just does a ton of damage. Maybe it does. It says 40% AD, 120% max. So maybe it does do what I just described, and I just haven't read it in a while. But either way, I think it's just too much damage in the like fail case scenarios. And damage reduction is going down a little bit for physical and a little bit for magical. I still think she's too good. She's really, really strong right now. Yeah, that is a problem. I can't remember. They buffed her like 6 different ways last patch. I can't remember everything they did with her. I think they did a lot with her Q to give a lot of damage as well, and potentially her E, like being able to connect faster. So she's just still way over the top. They need to either nerf her directly or they need to nerf the items. They need to nerf a lot of these bruiser items just across the board. Just knock like 10% off all of them. 10% of their power level, whatever that is. Whether it's, and I think specifically the lifesteal should be nerfed on a lot of items. Conquer. That's the easy one. They all get Conquer, all of these OP champs right now. So take the lifesteal off of Conquer, and maybe if you have to give it a little more damage or something, that's fine. But take the lifesteal off, nerf Triumph from 12% to 10%, possibly nerf the Bloodline rune. Just get rid of a lot of this free lifesteal out there. Sterix is another one that most of them get as second, so I would nerf that shield on Sterix for sure. And then, because it's hard to nerf the mythics because there's just so many of them that are so good right now. You've got Stridebreaker, and then you also have Gore Drinker and Divine Sunder, and both of those heal for quite a lot. So I would just start with Conquer, Triumph, and Sterix, because that's the common link that all of them get. Okay. Kale, base stats, magic resist down to 26. Okay, is she really that much of a problem right now? I feel like I haven't seen her a lot, but she has the potential to take over games if she gets really far ahead. So I just don't know enough about her in the meta. I never see her. I know some top level people have been playing her some, but anyways, that's fine. Cannon, they've been buffing this champ for like 3 or 4 patches in a row. Extra 10 damage and 5% scaling. I guess he's just too cute. Like, you have to land all these combos, you have to have all this setup to make him work in the laning phase, where there's so many other champions who are just so much easier just to click their buttons and have effective trades. So I don't know. He's just a ranged champ that like has to get in close, so he needs Hourglass, which is going to lower his damage across the board most of the time. He's okay. I just feel like there are probably better choices out there. All right, Mordekaiser. W cooldown is down by 2 seconds. That's pretty nice. I think you max that second, probably. I don't know. I haven't played Mordekaiser since his rework, but it's not first max. I think Q is the first max. So it's 2 seconds at all ranks, though, so I guess that doesn't matter. Damage stored post-mitigation. That's pretty good. I mean, a lot of people really, really don't want to get QSS right now. Like, AD carries just have to keep their build going, or they're just not going to do enough damage to kill a lot of these tanky bruisers. So they just have to keep crit going until they get to Infinity Edge most of the time, unless they're like a poke champion like Varus or something, but or Ezreal. But he's all right. The Rift Maker buffs were really big on him. Obviously, still uses Conquer as well. So yeah, I guess this is okay. Good buff. He's an interesting champion, although he is kind of oppressive when he's in the meta. Hi, Rory. Okay, base stats are going up on Italy. I just don't think that's going to matter too much. Like, she's okay, but she really is not that great unless you're just like a Smurf or a Challenger one-trick Italy. She just is super heavy tempo. You have to invade. You have to constantly just like be sweating up a storm just in the face of the other jungler the whole time. Just like terrorizing the whole game with your mobility, hitting your spears, and she's just way, way too hard to play for most people to use her effectively. It's kind of like Caitlyn, where it's like, seems like she's got the tools to be sort of powerful, but it's the amount of pressure you have to put up early to make up for the fact that you fall off later, and most people just don't do that well enough. Okay, Rel, now this is very significant, 2 seconds on that W, because this is what you max first. And I mean, this is just everything to her. Like, changing form is so huge over and over again. It gives her a bigger shield when she jumps off her horse. When she jumps on her horse, it gives her another piece of CC and more mobility. So that was the real nerf that put the nail in the coffin for Rel a few months ago. So them giving this back to her is huge. So her ultimate, I think they may have buffed her again a couple of patches ago based on her ultimate, but this might bring her back into the meta. I mean, her Q is really strong against shield. So against Sterix and the Bloodline stuff, her Q instantly breaks the shield, kind of like Blitzcranks are. So if you time that right, that's actually really, really strong, potentially. So we'll see. Locket's about in the same place that it was when she was dominant. Trying to think if there are any other items. Maybe Frozen Heart on her. Maybe. I don't know. It'll probably still be something like Zeke's, but it could be something like Frozen Heart on her. There aren't that many new tanking tools that have been, like, the tanking meta hasn't changed that much in terms of itemization. So, okay, good job, Rory. So, I don't know. Pretty good against, like, Nautilus, too, because she can break his shield also. So, obviously going to be really good against a bunch of different, shield type of champs, but, yeah, we'll see. She's very good against Rakan, so I'm not looking forward to her being in the meta if she is strong again. Maybe we could try to play her some more. I have historically not had a ton of success on her, but to be fair, I also did not play her a lot. So, anyways, I think this one could be quite significant. I know some high-level players have been playing her some. Okay, Rumble, just getting a bunch of bug fixes. None of these look super impactful. Looks like there may have been a bug where you could cast a whole bunch of different spells before you overheat, before it ticked. So people who are exploiting that could be a pretty big nerf. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. He's just pretty much out of the meta at this point. Okay, Shyvana. Rory, honey, Daddy's making a video, okay? And then we can play in a minute. So the Twin Bite, it's 2 seconds off early. That will help with your wave clear. I like that it's giving it a higher AP ratio, so because I think AP Shyvana is really the way that a lot of people like to go with it. She just really, really wants attention right now, so we'll try to go play with her in a little bit, but So yeah, that's good. That fits right in with like the Nashers type of build that people like to build on her. The odd thing about Nashers is usually you don't leverage the attack speed that much historically. I don't even know if you still get Nashers on her. Like, it's a good bargain item. But now you have more of a reason, or you get like more scaling with that attack speed, because every time you attack, it lowers the cooldown on your Q, which allows you to, spam the Q more so. The Q has felt really underwhelming unless you had, like, you were doing some kind of AD type of build. So that's going to make it a lot better for sustained damage and auto attacks, which, again, usually with AP, you're standing back and just chucking fireballs with your E. You're not going into melee, but this could help you finish some people off. Or, like, obviously in an all-in combo where you just jump on somebody and throw an E on them and then try to auto-attack them down. So overall, good. Okay, Silas. They're giving him more damage on his Q. Just nerf him, man. Like, you don't have to give compensatory buffs on champs that are OP. But they're giving him more damage on his Q, but they're taking away the healing on his W. I'm glad that they, recognize that his W is ridiculous, because that's kind of like the craziest builds on him are like these tank type of builds. So I like that they're changing that around. The maximum heal is getting lowered by 50, which is a lot, and it's losing 10% of your bonus AP. So that's good. It should not heal for 300 in the first place, in my opinion. Like, it's a normal ability, which heals for... That's just like an insane heal. But anyways, good. I like it. I think he's better as a squishier, high burst damage champion rather than a sustained champion. I think it's better balance-wise, I should say, for him to be like that. Okay. Syndra, a lot less mana on those early Qs. That's very significant. 20 extra mana early. Now, you do max Q first, so you're not getting, as much benefit out of that. I guess by level 5, you're only saving 10. But in, like, those very early levels, saving more could be pretty good. So it might allow you to cast, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 more Qs before your first back, which is pretty significant. Okay, Thresh, his flay's going down 2 seconds. I really wish they wouldn't nerf Thresh. Like, I understand that he is... he's very good in pro right now, but he's just a fun, interesting champ, and I don't think he's too dominating. I mean, even his win rate in pro, I don't think was, like, that high. Let me see. I know he was doing really well for several patches there, but they just nerfed him last patch. And I feel like he's still not, like, that strong, and they just buffed, Rel, who's, I think, historically pretty good against him because she can break his shield. Well, I mean, he does have the highest presence, right? He's at 51% presence, and the only champ that's winning more than he is Leona. But yeah, I mean, Leona's just going to go wild with some of these changes, so... I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a super massive thing, because usually you only, like, you're not looking for plays with flay. I mean, you can flay and then start a play with your hook, but I guess, like, maybe really early on, but by the time you walk up for a flay, a lot of times the fight's already going to, like, you're going to flash flay most of the time in high-level play if you're going for that, for an all-in early. And, like, the extra 2 seconds probably aren't going to matter because you're waiting on your hook anyways, right? Like, you're not, like, poking with flay. It does create a bigger window for enemies if you peel them off with flay to do something else. So maybe specifically with Leona, I don't remember the cooldown on her E. I feel like it's, like, 10 seconds early and scales down to 6. So maybe this gives, like, an extra 2 or 3 seconds for Leona. So she can, like, try to E in. If Thresh flays her out, then she's going to have a 2 or 3 second window to E in again before he's going to have flay back up. Maybe that's what this is about, that specific matchup. But that is significant. With a lot of builds, that's what you max last, I believe, is flay. I think people are on the Lantern second. Like, hook, then Lantern. But, yeah, I mean, I think this will knock him down at least a percentage or so. I don't think it's a nail in the coffin. I guess it's a fairly eloquent nerf because it's not going to matter in a lot of matchups, but it might matter in, like, a Leona matchup. Because other champs that are going to, like, go in and hook to go in and stuff like that are, like, a Nautilus type of champ. If you try to flay his hook early, the cooldown on that is going to be longer than flay anyways. So it's really just a low cooldown champion. And in, like, I guess a really long fight, maybe it'll matter. like fights that go beyond like 7 or 8 seconds, team fights, you won't have your flay back up. It doesn't do much damage. It's strictly used for peeling most of the time, or for interrupting mobility. So, I don't know. In other words, I think in most situations, you're only going to flay once anyways in a lot of fights, and so I don't think it's going to really impact how he trades, or how he all-ins, I should say. But there might be some matchups like the Leona one where it does matter. Okay, Viego, base damage is down on his Q, but then it's the same against monsters. So it's not going to affect his jungle clear speed. They just want him to do a little bit less damage. It hurts him in lane quite a bit. He's going to have less healing in lane. I just don't think it's going to matter. I mean, 10 damage off, because that's base damage. Isn't it like a really high percentage of your AD or something also does damage? And the fact that he gets Divine Sunder as well, so he's going to get a Divine Sunder proc. So I just feel like 10 damage, it just doesn't matter, I don't think, in a lot of these situations. Because he's still going to do hundreds of damage. So I don't know the exact numbers on it, but it's going to knock down his damage a little bit. I still think it's too high, though. They need to nerf, like, some of his free, like, lifesteal in his kit. And it's something about his ult, specifically, needs to get nerfed. Like, it needs to do less damage or have a higher cooldown once you infest somebody, or just something like that, because I feel like he just does way too much and he just snowballs way too hard in a lot of fights. So I don't know, this is going to be a step in the right direction, but they're trying to pigeonhole him into the jungle is what it looks like, so that he's at least not a flex pick and pro. What is his win rate this last patch? 52% with 83% present. So I mean, I don't know how Xin Zhao is not nerfed. Like, the champion has 94% presence on the current patch with a 51% win rate. But yeah, I mean, those are the two champs that really need to be dialed back a little bit, I think, are the Viego and Zen. So Viego's getting lightly tapped, and Xin Zhao they're just cool with that, I guess. So we got to nerf Aurelian Soul, but just let Xin Zhao with the 94% presence. He's cool. Don't worry about that. Okay, so Wukong, a little bit less health reach in. Okay, Wukong is low key, like, really, really strong. He's like almost always 52%. He's got a lot of utility. He works really well with these bruiser items like Divine Sunder, Sterix, all that garbage. A lot of people don't get him, or don't pick him, but he's got free armor crush on his Q. It's like, reduces the armor of the target by 25%, not just for you, but for your entire team. So when there are, like, a ton of comps that are running, like, almost all AD, like, being able to reduce the armor is huge. So that's good. And then, of course, he has, like, his ultimate in team fights, like the knock-ups on multiple people. And he can get Black Cleaver. I don't think he's been getting that as often, but that's another thing. If you really want more armor shred, if they have a super tank, then that can be good. Okay, Rory, hang on. Now, Ziya, this one could actually be pretty significant, because this was really the nail in the coffin, kind of like Rel. When they increased her cooldown on her ult, that was just an insane nerf to her, because she has to have this in fights. You know, she doesn't have any other, like, mobility or ways to get away from things, and it's a huge amount of her damage. So it's damage and it's evasion in fights. So it's everything in all ends for Ziya. So it's nice that she has this. Now, obviously, as a Recon player, it is very good if Ziya is strong in the meta. So maybe this will bring her back. We'll see. I'm trying to remember. I guess she's just going to go Kraken, like, Essence Reaver. I'm not really sure. Her itemization is still not, like, super optimal. I think they did buff. And they buffed, like, her Q. This, like, really weird thing that doesn't, like, matter. You know, her Q early. But this will definitely be really, really nice on her. So we'll see. Especially against a lot of these melee dive comps, you know, where you've got your Viego, your Silas, your Irelia, your Xin Zhao. your Gwen, like just all of these champions trying to dive the back line. She's very, very good at peeling divers with her ultimate. She just does really high damage with a lot of her feathers down when everyone's like all grouped up. And then of course she's got the root as well. So I think that's a very good buff. She's a good champ to have in the meta overall, especially to counter a lot of this diving nonsense and maybe encourage teams to branch out a little bit more and maybe play some range champs. Okay, Hole Breaker. So it's giving bonus armor. Wait, what? Oh, the minion bonus. That seems really big. 180 armor and magic resist to minions? I don't know how much they usually have, but that's a lot. And then you get some extra armor and magic resist. I guess. This still just feels kind of like a troll item. I don't know. It's like a split push. A lot of these split push champs already take towers really well. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's going to make the item a little bit better. So we'll see. I know there are some champs who like getting this thing. Like maybe a Trundle or something. Top lane Trundle. I can't remember all of the stats on it. Maybe Ornn. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make a huge splash in the meta overall. I think the champs that are going to get this are already really good at, like, maybe Yorick or something. Like, they're already going to be really good at, taking down. Now, I wonder if this applies to, like, Yorick's minions, them having extra bonus armor and magic resist. I doubt it. But, okay. I don't think it's going to matter. Then the spellbook, the for fun game mode probably doesn't matter. Summoner, ranked, rift, split 3. Who cares? Like, why are they trying to say these splits matter? It's like a marketing thing, but people don't care about, like, split 1, split 2, or split 3. Right? I mean, there's no free champion skin. Your ranked doesn't reset. They should consider having your rank, like, do a soft reset on each one of these. That would be interesting. Or at least twice a year instead of once a year, having, like, a rank reset. But that's just not... So without the ranked reset and without any sort of skins or meaningful rewards, like, all they're giving out is you get a summoner icon, emotes, and, like, a Series 1 Eternals capsule, which no one gives a crap about the Eternals. And it's just trying to get you to buy, more Eternals, or the 2 Eternals caps, or whatever, the upgraded version of it. I mean, it's cool that you're getting free stuff, and, like, they're trying to keep League relevant more throughout the year, because I don't know the exact population distribution stuff, but obviously at the beginning of a season for the first month, there's going to be a huge influx of new players, and then at the very end of the season, a lot of times there's an influx of players who just want to try to come back and get their rank for the end of the season, right? And that's how it is in most games, right? When something's very fresh, or when you're on the clock, when there's some kind of reward that's going to time out, or some kind of ranking system that's going to time out, more people come around. So it's like that middle ground, right? Where it's not the beginning, it's not the end. People kind of drift away, I feel like in the summertime or so, and play other stuff. So I think it's a good idea to recognize that, but they need to do something that's, like, much more meaningful for these seasons. A lot of other games, like I said, I feel like they have at least 2 seasons a year, right? Where it'll be like half of the year will be a season, and the next half will be a season. And then that just has more uptime on the excitement. But anyways, okay. Well, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to stay tuned for the tier list. I should have that out over the next couple of days. And I'll see everyone next time. Have a good day.